Welcome to episode number 350 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for all of you marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. We are recording on May 23, 2021. If you want to find us, you can find us by searching for Beyond Social Media Show. Before we get to this week's episode, I want to tease next week. BL has an interview with Tom Herman, who is a star of a documentary called Startup. And he and BL are going to discuss cryptocurrency for kids. I'm going to leave it at that. You have to listen to it. So let's get on with the show this week. And we have a lot of things to talk about this week, including Google LaMDA, Robotic Groot, About This Site, YouTube audio ads, recycled toys, self-serve Hulu, snap glasses, brand texting trend, erasing COVID, GA4 ready, Star Spangled Banner division, some stats that you wanna know about the Star Spangled Banner. But before we get to those stats, we're gonna kick it off with the best story of the week, and BL always has that on her. BL, what do you got?
Well, this week I listened to the Google I/O, the developer conference, and there are several things that I thought were really notable there. This is called Google LaMDA, and I thought it was the star of the show. It's an experimental model, and Google says it could one day supercharge the ability of its conversational AI assistants, and the whole goal is more natural conversations. So this has multiple sources, and there's some videos involved. But Google showed off its next generation AI by talking to Pluto and to a paper airplane. That's from a story in The Verge by James Vincent. And I have so many sources here. I will put them all in the show notes, but language is mind-bogglingly complex, English in particular, and it's also the core of Google's technology, from web search to smart speakers. And so the demonstrations of LaMDA were pretty amazing. And Google CEO Sundar Pichai said the richness and flexibility of languages makes it one of humanity's greatest tools and one of computer science's greatest challenges. So, while conversations tend to revolve around specific topics, their open-ended nature, you might start out talking about one thing and end up talking about, well, what are you having for dinner tonight? So a chat with a friend about a TV show could evolve into a conversation about the country where the show was filmed, before you debate the regional cuisine for the country, or decide you want to order food from that country today. So to demonstrate LaMDA's ability, they showed videos of two short conversations that they did with the model. And in the first one, LaMDA answered questions while pretending to be Pluto, the dwarf planet. And although they called it a planet, it's not. That was a mistake. But in the second one, it was standing in for a paper airplane. So as Pichai noted, the model was able to refer to concrete facts and events throughout the conversation. It was quite startling. I have the videos in the show notes. And it knew about the New Horizons probe that visited the planet in 2015. So it spearheaded the use of a machine learning technique known as transformers that are exceptional at handling language, and it's a remarkable technology. So what's the point of holding a conversation with a machine? Well, as Pichai noted on stage, so much of Google's AI work is about retrieving information, whether it's through translating other languages or understanding what users mean when they search the web. So if Google can get AI to understand language better, it can improve its core products, and it can turn search even better, and it can turn your phone into a conversation you can have with your assistant that will actually be natural and flowing. And then the examples are absolutely remarkable, as is the voice of the AI, whatever they're called, that they chose. So a very, very cool development.
So how are they talking to a planet? I don't get that.
Well, obviously it was a simulated conversation. They were making believe they were talking to a planet.
They just personified Pluto. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
All right, all right. So when you first mentioned that, I thought they were talking to Pluto,
The dog.
Disney dog. Yeah.
That would have been better, actually.
Yes, it would have. So I was going to have a perfect transition to my next story, but now that it's a planet, it doesn't work so well. So anyway, another Disney character named Groot is potentially coming to a theme park near you at Disney. This is from a TechCrunch article by Matthew Panzarino. Google's development R&D team has a project called Project Kiwi, and they are developing, they're making a free roaming robotic actor. So it's bipedal. It's a robot that actually doesn't have anything tethered to it. It just walks around. This is from Walt Disney's Imagineering team, which is their R&D team in Southern California. And they basically created the technology from scratch, pretty much. They had to create their own parts and everything to make it work. But they have a 2.5-foot tall Groot, the character Groot. I am Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy. And it has a amazingly expressive face. It walks very realistically. Its arms move. There's a video of it dancing and boxing and doing a ballet move practically. And it's all freestanding, and they are nailing this technology, it appears. The idea is to have these so Groot is just one character. They can skin it basically into any character they want, right? So have all these Disney characters that are robots that are walking around the parks and interacting with either each other. So you could have a play basically with a bunch of robots, or with guests. And so they're trying to figure out, they need to get the technology to the point where little kids will inevitably run up and hug them. So how does the robot anticipate that, recognize a human being and what they're about to do, and then brace itself for basically the impact of being hugged and not fall over and all that. So the technology isn't there yet, but it's amazing what it can do so far. We've got a video that we'll embed in the show notes for you to see. Basically the from start to finish. There's video of the legs. They just started working with the legs first, and then you see Groot at the end doing his ballet moves and boxing, and so it's pretty amazing. And the article, we'll put a link to the article, is really long, and for the engineering minded, it's fascinating because it goes in depth about all the problems they faced, all the things they solved for, and the parts they made to get this thing to the point that it is today. So pretty cool. Can't wait for it.
Oh, I love that story. Someday we'll all have our own robots. I want one that can do the Lindy. So also from Google I/O last week, next to most of the results on Google, you will now begin to see a menu icon that you can tap to learn more about the result or the feature or the company and where the information is coming from, and additional context will let you make a more informed decision about the sites you may want to visit or avoid. And so this is from Google's keyword blog by, I cannot pronounce this person's name, Prabhakar Raghava. I'm sorry, I apologize. But among the announcements was about this result. And it's a feature that shows you details about a website before you visit it, including its description, when it was first indexed, and whether your connection to the site is secure. And it's going to start rolling out in all English results worldwide. More languages are coming, and later this year, they're going to add more detail, like how a site describes itself, what other sources are saying about it, related articles to check on. So lots more about Google I/O in this very post that story came from, and that will be in the show notes and the newsletter, which you should subscribe to.
So About pages are coming to search results.
Well, but more elaborate ones than we've ever had before.
No.
More
Good.
so than the, the sidebar that we see now.
Yeah, well, it's an argument for, if you haven't already, to implement SSL certificates on your websites, because if that's going to drop
Just
down.
renewed mine today.
There you go. Speaking of Google, YouTube has a new product, audio ads. This is from Search Engine Journal's Brooke Osmondson. So they have basically audio. It's like a YouTube video, but no video, just audio. So you run them on a cost per thousand basis. They will only show on music or podcast content. They're in a global open beta right now. Certain brands are not eligible to run audio ads. Those in the healthcare and medicine industry, alcohol, gambling, and other sensitive verticals. But Google requires that you run 2 brand lift surveys before being eligible to join the open beta. So it does require a spend. You need to spend at least $3,500 per question for your brand lift. This is according to Riley Becerra of Metric Theory. So questions about, the ad recall, brand awareness, consideration, favorability, purchase intent, typically the types of things you would survey for a brand survey. But the audio ad specs are length is 15 seconds maximum. The article says the file size limit is 128 gigabytes, but it's not true. It can't be true. So I suspect it's 128 megabytes. Resolution anywhere from 426 to 240 up to 3840 by 2160. And aspect ratio of 16:9. Companion banner and call to action you can include by request from a Google representative. And then it has the same targeting options and bidding strategy as this video campaign. So very sophisticated targeting and just for audio. So pretty cool.
That's very interesting. So this has nothing to do with that or Google or YouTube, but Mattel wants to recycle your Barbie dolls. They have a way that families can extend the life of unused and outgrown toys and keep them at a landfill. And so they are launching a toy take back program. And so this is from a USA Today story by Kelly Tycho. And Mattel Playback is going to recover and reuse the materials from the toys that families send to the company, and they'll use them in future Mattel products. There's no cost for consumers to participate. The recycling program is initially accepting only Barbie, Matchbox, and Mega Toys, but other toys are going to be added soon. And it's going to recover and reuse the materials from the old toys. And their goal is to use 100% recycled, recyclable, or bio-based plastic materials across all products and packaging by 2030, which is a very noteworthy goal. Last year, Mattel introduced several toys as part of this, including 2 Fisher-Price products, Rock-A-Stack and Baby's First Blocks, and 3 Mega Blocks sets made from bio-based plastic. So the Matchbox Tesla Roadster, planned to be available in 2022, is going to be the first die-cast vehicle made from 99% recycled materials and certified carbon neutral, which we'll be talking about next week in my interview with Tom Herman.
Cool. Yeah, I don't have any Barbies. I don't.
No, really?
I suspect I have some Matchbox cars somewhere from my childhood, but I think I want to hang on to those.
No, I don't have my Barbies anymore, but I have friends who saved not only their Barbies, but their boxes. And over the years, they became quite valuable if you had the original box.
Yeah, my mother collected Barbies
Oh.
for that very reason. Yeah. All right, so here's another advertising story. This is from HubSpot's Martina Bretrus. Sorry.
We need a producer.
Completely mangled that. Anyway, Hulu has now self-service advertising. It's in beta phase. You have to submit an RSVP form to with information about your business, but once you get access to it, Hulu Ad Manager allows you to target by age, interest, gender, location, and show genre. And you can narrow the location down by state, city, zip code, or a DMA. You can't select which shows you want your ads to run on. You can only select the genre, and you must have a minimum budget of $500 per campaign, which is, dirt cheap compared to television advertising, right? Your ad has to be between 15 to 30 seconds long. You must use a credit card. You can't use a debit card, and you won't be able to find out what times your ad aired and during which shows, but you can get the standard metrics that you would get with any video campaign. Hulu has additional advertising options. There's a premium God, I'm having a tough time speaking today. Premium programmatic. This is for brands who want to leverage lookalike audiences, and behavioral segmenting in their campaign. There's action with broad appeal. So with this, you can integrate your brand with Hulu's and create branded content collections, deliver ads in innovative formats. They've got 15 different ad formats for Hulu. So we'll put a link to this in the show notes so people can see what those formats are.
Why would you think they wouldn't give you stats on which show it was on or when it was on?
I thought that was a big glaring omission.
Yeah, really. That just seems very unpleasant.
Yeah.
So Snap AR glasses are back. You have some, don't you, from the first go round?
I do, and I can finally wear them. I couldn't, one of those tiny little screws at the hinges fell out, and I couldn't get it back in because even though I have a guitar and I have tiny little screwdrivers, I didn't have one small enough. So my friend finally got me one, and now I can wear my Snap glasses again.
Well, they're back in their latest iteration, and you can't buy them. So, no, they're not for sale. This is from a TechCrunch story by Ingrid Lunden and Lucas Matney. And yeah, they're all new spectacles with built-in AR. The latest generation of spectacles, streamlined 60s style design in black. That is the company's latest play in the merging of some of the work that it's been building in augmented reality technology. And Evan Spiegel, Snap's co-founder and CEO, described the spectacles as the company's first pair of glasses that bring augmented reality to life. That's what the first ones were supposed to do. And if you ever owned or tried out earlier versions of the glasses, it sounds like these are just more intuitive and seamless. Spectacles understands what's in their field of view, and then it suggests relevant lenses based on what's around you. You can then snap the scene and send it to your friends to share the whole picture. So they published a form on its website for spectacles that allows creators, they only want influencers to have them. Now, creators who want the glasses have to request a pair, but it says that the new spectacles are not for sale. So I must not be cool enough because I can't find the form. But Snap seems to be marketing the device for creators only on the Snap platform rather than consumers towards whom the company previously geared its hardware. I mean, the way they launched the first one with these machines that you had to go and stand in a line to get them out of the machine, I thought that was a very cool idea. So this release embodies the strategy that others have taken of building augmented reality tech in public, and adding to it as the underlying tech is not quite ready for prime time. So these glasses have 2 cameras, 4 microphones, 2 stereo speakers, and touchpad controls. And yet it says they're lightweight. The displays are dual 3D waveguide displays that allow the wearer to view and interact with AR elements, and they connect directly to Snapchat's AR lenses and to its Lens Studio platform. They arrive ahead of Facebook's upcoming smart glasses, which they partnered with Ray-Ban to produce. And those glasses are not expected to include built-in displays and will instead rely heavily on other forms of input which haven't been defined. And Apple, for the longest time, has been rumored to be working on augmented reality glasses with thousands of employees supposedly building them. I'm going to put myself on mute.
Is there a picture of it? What do they look like?
Well, they look like just black glasses, you know. I mean, they just look like glass. They look like plastic black glasses. I do have pictures of them, and I have a video of them in the show notes.
Kind of annoyed I can't get one.
Yeah, they did. Well, if I could find the form, we could apply. Look on their website.
All right. So this is a article by Anna Hensel of Digiday on brands, a trend of brands going to texting as a marketing tactic. Just saying, you know, a lot of e-commerce startups are increasingly using text messaging to promote their new sales and product launches. And it's kind of that all the other channels are saturated, and couple that with iOS update that threatens our ability as marketers to reach people through the data that Facebook has for the targeting, for their ad targeting. That I just thought was an interesting trend. Long time coming. I mean, this has been talked about for years and years and years. It's tricky because, you know, it's a personal device. It's a personal channel right now. People use text to communicate with their family and friends mostly. So introducing brands into the mix won't be long before brands will be saturating it, and there will be a backlash and everything. But I don't know. Do you get any text from
They
brands?
annoy the hell out of me when I do, and I block them. And I never put my real phone number online because I don't want to hear from people in text. And yeah, I do get them.
Have you, I mean, I guess, have you subscribed to any texts from brands?
Absolutely not.
Oh, all right. Well, I just thought it was interesting, and I think I think it was inevitable. I think there's a smart way to do it, but most people probably won't do it.
Well, if you ask people if they want to get texts, that's smart. But if you just start sending them, that's dumb. So I don't have any more good news. Do you?
I do not. Let's go into the bad stuff.
Well, okay. The Indian government is trying to censor references to the Indian variant of COVID. They have ordered social media platforms to remove all references to the Indian variant. And there's an interesting article in National Geographic that explains how viruses and illnesses get their names. And many times they have been based on the region where they started. So India's government has sent notices to social media platforms ordering them to take down any content that refers to an Indian variant of the COVID-19 virus, according to Reuters. And the letter from the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology was sent on Friday. It wasn't made public, but news outlets, of course, have seen it. And it wasn't 100% clear which social media outlets received the letters, but India's government recently ordered Twitter to remove tweets and Facebook and Instagram to take down posts that were critical of its handling of the coronavirus epidemic. And the letter said, this is completely false. There's no such variant of COVID-19 scientifically cited as such by the World Health Organization. World Health Organization has not associated the term Indian variant with B1617 variant of the coronavirus in any of its reports. So, you know, the problem is that B.1.617 variant is not something A, easy to remember, or B, conversational. So you can't really stop people from doing what they're doing. While I understand their intent, it's stupid.
Yeah, well, maybe they should maybe they should just find a different naming convention for variants.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course they should. But, to force platforms to take down the mentions, that's crazy.
Well, here's the question. Are they doing it?
Apparently, yeah.
They're taking down the mentions?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to send a letter next time I see somebody post something that I don't like and see if they take it down.
Good plan.
Yeah. So mine is, so this is from Jeff Sawyer of Data Driven U. Jeff is a analytics guy. And he did a survey of 460 marketers, asking them about Google Analytics and Google Analytics 4 in particular. So the current version of Google Analytics, the one that most people are using right now and have been using for years and years and years, is Universal Analytics. But Google created from the ground up, wrote new code for the next version of Google Analytics, and it's called Google Analytics 4. So I'm going to refer to UA, Universal Analytics, as the old one, and GA4 as the new one. So he asked these 460 marketers, who included freelancers, business owners, in-house marketers, agency marketers, agency owners, and a couple of students, handful of students, looks like. Their level of experience with Google Analytics 4, 25% didn't know what it is. These are marketers. 25% did not know about Google Analytics 4. 37% haven't touched it yet. 27% forgot about it, and 11% are up to date. 54% 54% view GA4 as an opportunity to offer a new service to clients. Everybody's going to have to upgrade to Google Analytics 4 eventually, and you should at least install it so it's collecting data right now. But yeah, that's how I'm looking at it. It's because everybody's going to have to be using it, they're going to need the expertise to install it and configure it if they don't have it in-house. So it definitely is an opportunity for new business. 69% of the marketers said they will be upgrading eventually to Google Analytics 4. 25% have already upgraded. I don't know what upgraded means in this survey. I mean, I've installed it on all of my own sites and our client sites, so it's collecting data, but I haven't jumped in yet I don't know enough about it yet. But last week I started learning because I need to know it. It's time to start learning it. So I took a couple of webinars. One was from a well-known analytics firm. I'm not going to say the name of the firm because the webinar was crap. It was actually, I mean, a lot of information, everything, but the guy doing the presenting, I was struggling to interpret what he was trying to say. And so it was hard to follow. And then later that day in the evening, the Minnesota Search Engine Marketing Association had a webinar with a woman who was just crystal clear on Google Analytics 4. It was really well done. And so yeah, I'm diving in, but there's a lot there, and I don't have a lot of time, so it's going to take some work. But it is definitely an improvement over Universal Analytics. But people should start learning it now, like I am.
Well, my geeky friend, I'm glad to hear that. When you learn it, you can teach me. So, any more bad news? Because I have a smile.
Let's go to the smile.
This is so cool. This is from Google Arts and Culture, and Google has invented a new tool that will make you hear color. It's so interesting. As part of a new exhibition, the worlds of culture and technology collide, and they bring out the colors of the sounds of the colors of the abstract art pioneer Wassily Kandinsky. And Kandinsky had a disorder called synesthesia, where looking at colors and shapes causes someone with the condition to hear associated sounds. So with the help of machine learning, virtual visitors to sounds like Kandinsky exhibition, can actually have an oral experience of his art. It is so completely cool. And really the only time I've ever heard of anybody hearing colors were if they were tripping.
That does sound cool. There's the Vincent Van Gogh, immersive Van Gogh
Yeah, that looks
exhibit
great.
that is touring, and it's coming to Minneapolis. I really want to go, but that would be awesome if they had that for Van Gogh as well.
Yeah, that really would. Oh my God, the way he used colors was so amazing.
Hmm.
So shiny new stuff.
Yeah, and you got them all this
Oh,
week.
I have some really good ones. Um, Journalists Toolbox, which is always wonderful, has top mobile editing apps for reporting and social posts. So I'll put a link to that. I went to Social Media Weekend this weekend and encountered the fabulous Jeremy Caplan newsletter called Wondertools, which is the motherlode of new tools in every issue. Every issue has amazing stuff. So I will put a link to his newsletter because it's just extraordinary. One of the things I came across was TypeStudio, which is a video editing tool that's like Descript, but easier. And it lets you edit video by editing the transcript. So there's a free version. It only gives you 20 minutes of video, but for prices between $12 and $20 a month, you can add subtitles, you can translate, you can annotate your video. Then you literally can cut out the ums and ahs by just taking them out of the transcript, or take out a whole section of, just cut the transcript and it cuts the video. It's just like, editing for non-technical people, and it works.
Cool.
Yeah, very cool. So I do have a political one.
All right.
We're coming up on a very sad anniversary, which is the anniversary of George Floyd's murder. And President Biden is hosting the family of George Floyd at the White House on Tuesday to mark the 1-year anniversary of his death at the hands of police. And this is from a CNN story by Arlette Sands and Devin Cole. And in a sharp contrast, study in contrast to the former guy, President Biden is hosting the Floyd family, and he also met with the Floyd family in June 2020 when he traveled to Houston to offer condolences ahead of the funeral. And the president has spoken to members of the family on several occasions, and he had a conversation last month with Philonaise Floyd after a jury convicted former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin in the killing. And Press Secretary Jen Psaki, who I just love, said this week that the White House will commemorate the anniversary of Floyd's death, and she described it as a moment that impacted millions of Americans, and certainly the president on a personal level. So unfortunately, this White House action comes at the same time as lawmakers are going to miss the president's initial deadline for passing bipartisan police reform, which is so sad. But anyway, a year ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's going to be more police reform happening at local levels than it appears we're capable of doing nationally. Sad, unfortunately. So this is, let's wrap this up with some numbers. This is from the Washington Post's Michael Lee, Scott Clement, and Emily Guskin, who report on a Washington Post poll on Americans' sentiments about the National Anthem playing at sporting events. So 84% of Americans support the anthem being played or sung before professional sporting events. 71% feel positive when the song plays, while 4/5 of white Americans and 2/3 of both Hispanic and Asian Americans say the anthem makes them feel positive. A much smaller 35% of Black Americans share those emotions, and 22% of Black Americans say they feel negative when they hear the song at sporting events. I didn't know this, but according to the article, the National Anthem has been played consistently at sporting events for 150 years. I didn't realize that I thought it was a recent thing. I never understood understood why it had to be played at sporting events. There's no connection between, you know, the national anthem and a game of baseball or football or basketball or whatever. So I never really got that. And I always felt like it was forced patriotism to, you know, basically, so I don't know. I can live with it or live without it, but I don't get why it has to be there. I did go to a Vikings game before last year, 2019, when we didn't have a pandemic, with a black friend of mine who dipped out, went into the concession area before the Star Spangled Banner played, and then was back in the seat after. So, you know, clearly he's among the 22%. And I kind of felt like I would have kneeled during the national anthem if there was room in the aisle to do so, but there isn't. So there's that. And I'm coming up, I'm going to be going to a Twins game on the 30th, and they'll be playing the national anthem there, and it'll be interesting to see how people react. But there you go.
I also always wondered why they do that. I mean, you're right. There's absolutely no connection, and it is forced patriotism. It's very strange.
I guess it started during the 1812. They started doing it in 1814, or no, it was written in 1814 about the 1812 war, but they started doing it at Chicago in the World Series in 1918, I think, is when they first started it. But yeah, I don't know. It was, you know, it's patriotism thingy.
I mean, I happen not to like the song. I think America the Beautiful should be our national anthem because it's such a beautiful song, and you can sing it. Who can sing our national anthem? You know, if you're not Lady Gaga.
Whitney Houston, Lady Gaga.
Yeah, right. I mean, but the rest of us, you know.
I mean, like I patriotic. I think this country is great. But I'm not blind to its flaws either. And you know, so.
Yeah, it just seems sort of odd that happens. Anyway, that brings us to the end of episode 350 of the Beyond Social Media Show. And you just find us by searching Beyond Social Media Show. Links to everything we talked about today, including the videos, will be at beyondsocialmediashow.com/350. And we hope while you're there, you will subscribe to the newsletter. I'm here with David Erickson, and he is on Twitter as D Erickson, on Instagram as DE Erickson. He is on YouTube at E Strategy, and he blogs at the absolutely fabulous e-strategyblog.com. I'm BL Achman. I'm on Twitter as What's Next. I blog at What's Next Blog. I'm What's Next Blog on YouTube. My website's blachman.com. The show, again, beyondsocialmediashow.com, and on Twitter we are at BS Media Show because we don't always take ourselves 100% seriously. And you will find the podcast wherever you listen to your podcast. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. You can even tell your smart speaker to play Beyond Social Media Show. So next week I will be back with Tom Herman talking about cryptocurrency for kids. And 2 weeks from now, we'll have a regular show. Well, thanks for listening and watching.
Thanks for watching.